Hey friends, what is up and welcome back to my channel. As you can tell from the title of today's video, I wanted to sit down and film the mid-year book freakout tag. I have done this every single year since I started my channel, and I want to continue doing it because I feel like it's a good way to check in with how you are with your reading. So today, that is what I'm going to be doing. Let me know your answers to these questions down below, and I'm going to go ahead and get started. So the first question is best book read so far in 2019. And for me, that would have to be Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating. I really obviously enjoyed this book. This is a book about Josh and Hazel, obviously, and they are friends from college. They briefly knew each other and they do decide to kind of start this pact to start double dating and trying to find each other person a significant other. So Hazel's trying to find somebody for Josh, Josh is trying to find somebody for Hazel. And the story is really, really funny, but it is a pretty complex story. Hazel is one of those characters where she's very aloof, she's very spontaneity, she's very spontaneous, and it's really hard for other people to handle her. I do obviously love the romance aspect of this, but I think my favorite part of this book would have to be Hazel. I really felt seen with her, and that is why I loved it so incredibly much. I've seen some pretty negative reviews of this book recently, but I am one of the people who ended up giving it 5 stars, loved it all around, and Christina Lauren is just such a stunning, stunning author. Now the next question is best sequel you read in 2019, and I was going through my Goodreads and I've only read one sequel, and that would have to be Wildcard by Marie Lu. I liked this book. I think I gave it 4 stars. I feel like the ending of it is a little too wrapped up. This follows our main character Amika, and she is thrust into the Warcross games because she is a hacker, and Hideo, who kind of runs it, decides to try to employ her to find the hacker. And this is the second one. Obviously, this is the follow-up, so it's a little bit more in-depth than that. I did really like this book. I think that the characters got a lot more development. The reason why I gave it 4 stars instead of 5 is that the ending was too wrapped up. I feel like there wasn't a whole lot of repercussions for some of the actions that happened, but otherwise, still a good book. Definitely my favorite that I've read when it comes to sequels for the year, mostly because it is the only sequel that I have read this year. Now, number 3 is new release you haven't read yet, but you want to. I actually recently received this. I did pre-order it, and this is from one of my favorite YouTube channels, some of my very favorite YouTubers altogether, and it would be The Hidden Power of Fucking Up by the Try Guys. I don't know if you guys watch them. They used to be with BuzzFeed, and then they started their own company, started their own channel, and are doing really, really well for themselves. You might be kind of familiar with Eugene. Eugene just did a coming out video, and it was really popular. They raised money for the Trevor Project. I actually purchased this book because as much as I love all of the Try Guys, Keith is my favorite. And there's a portion in here where he tries to be vegan because he's kind of known as like the fried chicken guy. That's like what he does. He eats a lot of food on the channel. So I was interested to see kind of his journey, but I'm still really excited to see everyone's journey in this. This is obviously a book about trying and sometimes failing and getting back up and trying again. And it's a little bit of a memoir, obviously, for the boys, and I'm just really excited to read it. And I know it's a very odd book to be excited about, but I like memoirs. I've always really liked them, and reading a book from some of my favorite people is really, I don't know, exciting to me. It's like getting to know them a little bit more than just what we see online. So I did want to support them. I did pick this up and I cannot wait to read it. Now, number 4 is most anticipated release for the second half of the year. I don't really know of any books that I'm incredibly excited to read. I would say A Bad Deal for the Whole Galaxy is a book that I've been really anticipating, but I don't really know when that comes out. Dark Dawn is obviously being released, but I haven't even read the second one, so there aren't really any books that are coming out that I'm 100% super excited. I don't tend to keep up with that anymore. I try to just buy books as I see them and not really buy into the hype, because if I bought a book every single time it's about to come out, I would have so many books, so many more than I already do, and I would be incredibly poor. So I don't actually have an answer for this question other than, actually it's called The Worst of All Possible Worlds. I'm an idiot. So The Worst of All Popular Worlds by Alex White. I'll put a picture up here on the screen for you guys. That is a book that I'm most looking forward to, but I don't necessarily know when it's going to be released. Now, number 5 is biggest disappointment, and this won't be super surprising. I'll put the vlog that I did up above for this, or the review that I did for it. It would actually be King of Scars by Leigh Bardugo. I have read some pretty disappointing books this year, but this is the one that I think hit the hardest for me because I really love Nikolai. Nikolai is one of my favorite characters in a series ever, and I was super let down by this because it just wasn't I guess what I was expecting now. I don't think the writing's terrible. I don't think the character development is terrible. I think that Inej and Nina both get a lot of screen time in this, and I think that that is wonderful. I think their characters are very complex, but for me, it just wasn't what I thought it was going to be, which is what leads to the disappointment. And like I said in my review, I think that this is going to be a great build-up for the second novel or third novel. I don't know how many there's going to be, but it was just not what I thought it was going to be, and I was really upset about it. There's a character that kind of comes back in this series that I'm just like, why did you do it that way? So there were a couple of things with this that just led it to be my most disappointed. And that's part of the reason why I don't really get on like the pre-order kind of hype train, because I was waiting for this for so long and had it pre-ordered for so long. And then when it finally came in, I was incredibly let down by it. So that's unfortunate, but definitely King of Scars by Leigh Bardugo is my most disappointing book of the year so far. And I honestly don't see a book being more disappointing than that, honestly. So the next question is most surprising read of the year. So a book that you weren't expecting to love, or a book that came out of left field and made you absolutely fall in love with that. And for me, it'd be The Kiss Quotient. I was not expecting to love this book as much as I did. I know that the main character, or knew going into it, that the main character Stella had autism, and then apparently it was represented very well in this book. I 100% agree with that. I think that it was just done so flawlessly, and my favorite part of this book is Stella is on a journey to become more sexually aware, more aware of her body, more aware of just sex in general, to possibly get herself a husband to start settling down. And so she enlists Michael to kind of teach her that. And Michael is basically just a sex worker, and he just sleeps with people for money. And I like the representation of that in this book as well. That is something that I've always been pretty vocal about in my life, is that I don't necessarily think that sex workers should be treated the way that they are treated. I feel like in a way, it is important to have them, and I do think that we should be giving them free health insurance and making sure that they are healthy, instead of just like, I don't know, criticizing them and kind of shoving them out of the way. And so I really, really liked Michael's representation in this book as well. So the book had a lot of facets to it that I ended up really enjoying. I think that their love story is very believable. I feel like it was very organic, given the fact that how they met, like how Stella hires him to teach her these things, and they do end up just sort of having a love story, because you know, obviously they're going to fall in love in this book. I think that it was done very well. I feel like it was very fluid, very seamless, and very believable. Despite the fact that she has autism, Michael still loves her, and he has autistic people in his family, and it was just done very, very well. So for me, this was the most surprising book that I'd read, and as a first read that I've ever read by Helen, I did really, really enjoy it, and was really excited to pick up the Bride Test as well. So the next question is favorite new author, like new author to you, or debut author, your new favorite. And for me, once again, that'd be Christina Lauren. I've read pretty much everything that they've written so far this year and have absolutely loved it. I think that they, other than Love in Other Words, which wasn't the worst book I've ever read, I think that they can really do no wrong. I think that they write very funny characters. I love banter in books, and I think that they have stunning, stunning banter. I think that the characters are funny. I think the stories are cute and in-depth and intriguing. It makes you want to keep reading, and you can read them pretty quickly. So for me, I would have to 100% say Christina Lauren. And this is not surprising to any of you who regularly watch my channel. So the next question is newest fictional crush, and that would hands down have to be Josh Templeman from The Hating Game. Josh is an asshole. Like, he is straight up an asshole for like 3/4 of this book, and you're led to believe that he's just like the biggest twat ever, and you could never like him, and Lucy just gets treated like shit by him the entire time. And I just fell in love with him pretty much from the beginning. Like, the dark, brooding, I don't know, he's like a big guy, and he's so hot. Like, there's no other way to describe it. I would literally jump his bones. He is so gorgeous, and the later on, like the further along you get in this book, the more and more you find out about him, and the more and more I fell in love with him. I think that for me, he's a very complex character. He does border on abusive at times towards Lucy. If you're not familiar with what this book is about, Lucy and Josh work for separate owners of one specific company. Two people own one publishing house, and they each work for one of the employers, one of the owners of the company, and they are kind of pit against each other to essentially become each other's bosses. After having worked together for so long and hating each other for so long, it's really scary. So they start competing against each other. And that's at the basis what this book is about, but just for me, I would say Josh and Lucy's characters were done so well. I love Lucy almost as much as I love Josh, honestly, but Josh takes the cake for my newest fictional crush this year. I just absolutely 100% adore him. So the next question is a book that made you cry, and this was actually really easy for me to figure out. It'd be Autobiography by Christina Lauren. This actually follows our main character Tanner, and he moves back to Utah and ends up going to a Mormon school and falling in love with the golden boy of the Mormon school. He's already graduated, but he is teaching a writing seminar. It's a very basic story if you think about it, but there were so many complexities in this story when it comes to religion and being gay and being out and not being out and just being accepted, loving yourself, and is loving yourself enough if the people in your life don't also love you for who you are. And I adore this book. This book made me cry so hard. The ending of this book is incredibly adorable. All of the book is pretty much adorable, but this book made me cry not just for that, for like a happy endings, but it also made me cry out of frustration for our main characters and the things that they were going through. So I really, truly recommend this book if you're looking for good bisexual rep as well. This has amazing bisexual rep in it, and if you're looking for a good cry. So the next question is book that made you happy. And for me, that was really simple. It's Red, White, and Royal Blue. This book is all over the place and for good reason. This book follows Alex and Henry. Alex is the son to the president. Henry is a prince from Britain. And they kind of had this rivalry of being in the public eye, something that obviously a lot of us can't really relate to. And they have a little altercation at a wedding, and because of that, they are told that they need to keep up public appearances and sort of fake a friendship. And obviously that fake friendship leads into something a little bit more. The reason why I think I love this book so much is the politics aspect of this, especially when it comes to the gay boys in the story. Alex is actually bisexual, Henry is gay. And you get to follow their journey navigating politics and being in the public eye and what people really think of you. But I also love this book because their humor made me laugh out loud. And that does not often happen. Henry and Alex's banter back and forth, just Alex's internal dialogue made me laugh so hard so many times. And I just absolutely love this book. It gives you hope. It makes you, I don't know, feel stuff. And that's like hard, I think for me to do in a book. Like it really made me hopeful, and it really made me excited in a way as well. So this is definitely the book that made me the most happy so far this year. Now, second to last question is the most beautiful book you bought so far this year. And I've actually bought two that I think are the most gorgeous. And these are the Space Boy comics. These are by Stephen McCraney. And I read the first one, which I bought obviously a long time ago, for the Panels Book Club. And then I obviously did pre-order the other two. I think the fourth one is either out or coming out soon, but I love the art on these. Like, these are just absolutely stunning, and the spines of them do also make a picture as well. I love the artwork for these comics. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's done in a really simple way, but for me it is the most pretty. It is the prettiest book I bought so far this year. I love the characters. I love the kind of art style that they chose for this as well. I think that these are just stunning covers. Like, I'm sorry, but how beautiful is that? I love taking pictures of these, and I love having them on my shelves. Now, the last question is, what books do you need to read before the end of the year? I actually don't have an answer for this, because really my answer would be any of the books you see on the shelves behind me. I have 5 bookshelves, and I think I've read maybe half of what I own. And I've kind of stopped buying books, and I just want to get down to reading those. My goal by the end of the year is only to have 20 unread books. I don't think that that's going to happen, but I think I'm going to get pretty close. Alright guys, so that is going to be it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Like I said, leave down below your answers for these questions. I love you so much, and I will see you guys in my next video.